Hey guys, so welcome back to another episode. This is the season review of season 1. We managed to finish third place. Can you believe it? Third place in the Premier League in the first season. We have had some great performances, like you saw in the last episode, with us beating Manchester United 3-1. And let's see the season review. Obviously, there's been quite a few top players here this season. Ben Godfrey and Inacio proving to be two of my best players this season, with the average ratings there, with Ben Godfrey getting 7.29 and Inacio 7.27. Yes, they might have been expensive purchases, but they definitely made a difference. As you can see, the trend continues with Pellegrini third there, Harvey Elliott coming fourth there, and all my players who came in as transfers did fantastically well in terms of transfer ins. Harrison also had a great season, obviously signing full-time. This has definitely been a season to remember as we find ourselves in third place. The season review says United were one of the competition's feel-good stories, defying expectations, mainly thanks to impressive spell of form between August and October. After climbing as high as third in the peak, they were able to celebrate a job well done. And was it a job well done or what? Was Rodrigo picking up 15 goals this season in the Premier League? What a season he had. Obviously, when we started the season, I remember saying that I'm a bit concerned about his finishing 11, and I was right to say that, because if he had better finishing, he probably would have had 30 goals this season. He found himself in beautiful positions. I played him as a striker in advanced forward position, and he has truly performed. This is his second highest goal scoring season of all time. The last one was with Valencia in the Spanish league, and he truly deserves all the accolades he got this season. The board are obviously delighted with with the team's performance and being able to be in the Champions League through the Premier League qualification. Having a look at our results here, I mean, we had 24 wins, 6 draws and 8 losses. The losses came against some of the big players in the league: Arsenal, Liverpool, Tottenham, Manchester United and Manchester City. But I did have doubles against Chelsea, and we did beat Manchester City and Manchester United and Tottenham on our days, as well as Arsenal. So it wasn't all that bad. We started off the season a bit clumsily against City and obviously the 2 draws against West Ham United and Norwich. But since then, it's been always an upward movement in the league with victory after victory. We had a beautiful spell here from November all the way to January the 1st, with quite a few victories there, and the run continued. Also, the beautiful run at the end of the season there, with wins against Liverpool, Wolves, Newcastle, Norwich, Crystal Palace, and obviously the last match that you saw there, Manchester United. We had terrible runs in the FA Cup and Carabao Cup, and I think if we had stayed in those 2 cups, we wouldn't have finished as high in the league as we are. Obviously, we've got quite a small squad, like I've mentioned, and that's something we're going to have to remedy for the next season. Leeds United here, biggest win in the season was a 4-0 win over Southampton. Game to remember was that game against Leicester City, where Rodrigo picked up those 2 impressive goals, and the goals of the season was done by Harrison for Leeds United against Brighton, where he scored 2 goals in that match. Obviously, the success we did in the Premier League definitely helped the club's finances. It also kept our reputation in the current state where they are as a national reputable club. Sponsorships here were gone up by 30 million, broadcast revenue up by 90 million. Obviously, this is the first season in Football Manager, so these are all going to be positives. Competition prize money, I mean, that's over 150 million pounds worth of money coming in this season just from annual revenue. So I do deem that as a success. Our merchandise sales have gone up tenfold. And the biggest shirt sales, by no surprise, was Phillips, Rafinha, Dallas, Rodrigo, and Harrison. Obviously, Dallas had a big season for us this season. He's one of our unsung heroes. And I'm surprised he didn't get more praise from the media this season. But he picked up some important goals. He played some beautiful through balls. He got quite a lot of assists, as you can see here, 5 assists in total in the Premier League. And our lineup, best 11 for the first season, was Meslier in goal, Pellegrini in the back left, Inacio, Godfrey and Ayling, the rest of the back. Sturrock securing that deep line playmaker position there with Dallas and Phillips. This is probably the team that I would have picked, with an exception of maybe adding Harrison in there somewhere. and potentially moving around Elliott down into the midfield. But this was a beautiful, beautiful team. Obviously, Rafinha finding his form again down that right-hand side with the last 2 games getting goals. But yeah, we certainly deserve it. And obviously, the number of clean sheets that Meslier did pick up, I think he was second best clean sheets of the season. Let's have a look at our awards. We did find a Manager of the Month this season. 1 accolade there. Fans Player of the Year was Calvin Phillips. Young Player of the Year was Godfrey. We did have a signing of the season, which was Inacio. Goal of the season, obviously, we've mentioned earlier, was Harrison. Top goal scorer, Rodrigo, with the most assists coming from Rafinha. Most player of the match is also Rodrigo. Highest average rating was Ben Godfrey, and most passes in a 90-minute period came down to Sturridge. Obviously, in that deep line playmaker position, he does perform quite well. In the competitions, Inacio picking up English Players Young Player of the Year, which is a fantastic award there for him. So our young wonder kid can turn into something quite impressive if he just continues on this form that is currently being shown. And we've got a few record breakers obviously here, with Rodrigo picking up 15 goals in the season, Pellegrini with 8 assists, most clean sheets 14 from Meslier. Most man of the match awards comes from Rodrigo, a bit of ill discipline from Pellegrini, picking up 14 yellow cards and 1 red card, and highest transfer paid was Inacio. But obviously this award as young players, English Players Young Player of the Year, is well worth it when you're paying 40 million. Quickly, let's have a look at the team. I'm going to have a look at the squad here, our depth, and just see where we need to strengthen. So definitely I'm going to have to try and bring in a striker. Gelhart's probably going to go out on loan again. He did perform quite well and he is improving. He's just not quite ready for a starting lineup. So I'm going to have to consider whether to keep him or not. Rodrigo, if I get a good offer in for him, he is 31 years old. Yes, he was the best striker for me this season, but you can see he's declining. And if I can get about 30 million in for him, I'm going to move him on. And Patrick Bamford is definitely going to be moved on. I'm hoping to get about another 30 million odd for him. He is only 28, but he's definitely not good enough. James and Tyler Roberts, they definitely going to be moving on. So we're going to have to overhaul the striker role. Down the left here, basically the only person I'm going to be keeping is Harrison Rafinha, and I'm going to try and bring in Elliott. On the right-hand side, it's the same players. In my central midfield, I need to have some solid support for Calvin Phillips. Yes, Dallas did play impressively, but he is also now 31 years old. The reason I will be keeping him is obviously because of the determination, so he can be a good role model for the youngsters. Also, he can play in multiple positions. He can play in the midfield, he can play up on the wings, he can play left and right of the defense. He is going to be one that I'm going to be keeping. But Cleach is probably going to be moving on, 31-year-old. Rodrigo, yeah, also, and not sure why Godfrey's in the midfield there, but he's definitely not a midfielder. In the deep line playmaker position, Sturridge might have had a good season and proving to be a quality in terms of how much he's worth, but it's not going to be a long-term solution for me. So I'm going to have to look at who can fulfill this role. Forshaw is going to be moving on this season. He is 30 years old, Englishman, just not good enough, and Koch also definitely moving on. So it seems like we're going to have quite a overhaul this season on Leeds United. Even though we finished third, there's a lot of people who are moving on in age and just not quite good enough. I would love to bring Pellegrini in full time, so I'm going to see if I can make that happen. He's obviously worth 9.4 million there, and well worth that money. Considering I'm moving Junior on, who's worth more, Pellegrini does definitely perform better than him, and we need a backup player to fill that role, because should something happen to Pellegrini, if I'm able to bring him in, who's going to be fulfilling that role? In the center of defense, obviously Inacio has been playing exquisitely, and I don't think Godfrey is a long-term solution for him as a partner there. Yes, he's worth 51 million. I think that's just the English player tax. He's not going to be the long-term solution there. Neither will Sturridge. Sturridge just is not good enough in terms of his mentals to play that role. Ben Godfrey is obviously better than him in that situation. And down the right, Luke Ayling is aging. I do have Godfrey who can play that role. He just can't cross, so that's a bit of a concern. But he will be a good rotation player there. We have Patrick over here who could potentially stay on for another season. He's got some very strong mentals, but the rest of him is just not good enough for that role. And Shackleton, unless he starts developing very quickly, he's going to be moving on soon. Even though Meslier had a stellar season, we have to get either a better goalkeeper or a better number 2 at the back in order to make sure we secure this. So let me just rotate forward a few days, see what I can do in the transfer market, and we will most likely be back on the 1st of June with a transfer special for you.